You know, I thought I'd do this outside today because it was a beautiful sunny day, and as soon as I got this set up, it started to rain, which you might be able to hear behind you, so I apologise for that. Klaus Homan, who's the community manager at Peerlist, ran and asked me anything of sorts to gather a bunch of questions and send them over to me, and I've been promising him and others that I will get around to do this, so this is for you. Right, so first question is, what tools do you use for video blogging? What are the purposes and function of each? This is going to be a long answer. I thought I'd be really fancy and I went out and bought this DSLR a few years ago, which is a fantastic camera, but it's really good if you're behind the camera and you're actually manually focusing it and setting all the settings up, and then you can get some really beautiful and artistic shots. But for video blogging, I don't really like it that much. The challenge is that you're normally a one-person crew, and so you need something that's quite easy and flexible to use, that doesn't need a lot of setting up, otherwise, you know, at the risk of messing up the shot. For that reason, this actual flip cam has been my go-to camera for many years. It's just really easy to set up. It records in HD-ish type quality. On the internet, it really doesn't matter because you're making video for someone that's going to be watching it on a 4 or 6-inch screen on their mobile or tablet most of the time. So you know, full HD isn't that essential. Or I've got this little Drift HD, which is kind of like a GoPro. It's a good travel camera. It works really well. It's just small, inconspicuous, you know, when I go to conferences and stuff like that. This is primarily what I use. A small tripod, I've got a big tripod, which this camera's on, and I've got some lights and what have you. So it's really simple. At the end of the day, you can make do with a cheap tripod, a simple camera, and yourself. That's all you really need for vlogging. Next question, how do you redo perfect sound? I'm really rubbish at sound. I don't spend a lot of time on it, as evidenced by a lot of my videos. The majority of the times I just go with the lapel mic. It's convenient. You just clip it on and you plug it into the camera, and that generally works really well. Other than that, I really recommend the Rode sort of like mic. It clips onto like a lot of cameras, and it's a directional shotgun mic. Not necessarily the cheapest of options, but it is a very effective way of getting some good quality sound. And if I'm doing voiceover, I'll use this. This is a Yeti Blue microphone with a pop filter. Very important. I've relocated inside now because my noisy neighbors came out and they were yelling at each other. So, what editing tools are you using to produce videos? I just keep it really simple. I'm using Final Cut Pro 10 at the moment, although for the majority of what I do, iMovie still works just as well. A lot of what I do is just very simple cuts and just an audio track on top. There's no real magic to it. What are your tricks for achieving effective communication? That's a very good question, and this is something I've pondered over for many years myself, and I'm not sure I know exactly what the answer is, because there's no right answer. Where I think a lot of people go wrong, and where I went wrong a lot in the beginning, is focusing too much on the tools, like focusing on what type of camera, what kind of lens, how the lighting should be set up, what editing software should I use, and I think that's all secondary. What's really important is how are you telling a story and how are you engaging the audience. If you can find a way to do that, then people will forgive like a bit of shaky cam, grainy footage, sound that is maybe not perfect. People will overlook all those things if your story and your video is engaging. The other important thing to bear in mind is that video blogging is a different medium than traditional cinema or TV. The YouTube style of video making is very different. So first of all, you don't have that fourth wall. It's very much a social direct communication with the people that are watching. And secondly, you have things like rapid cuts and jumping around and doing all that kind of stuff that adds to the dynamic to the video and makes it more engaging without having all those boring lulls in between. When working with a product demo or video, do you limit the time spent on the video? Also, do you use screenshots or actual video to show features? This really goes down to the nature of the video you're actually doing. If you're actually creating a video that's a tutorial on how to use a product, then you'll need to go more into details. If you're just doing a kind of like a video that's highlighting the features and the capabilities of a product, then I wouldn't necessarily go into so much product details. When video blogging, do you think it's better to focus on something like a PowerPoint presentation instead of a talking head? I don't think a talking head on its own is sufficient, although it can be enough. PowerPoint presentation style I don't think is very suitable for video. I've seen some done really well, but video has a lot of richness and dimensions to it. It's not just what is being said, but it's what's visually being displayed. It's the audio that's overlaid, the music, the soundtrack. Everything comes together to create this rich environment that simulates multiple senses at once, which is what makes video a unique delivery mechanism. Do you think special effects add any true value? Yes, no, perhaps, and maybe. There's a good way of using special effects and there's a bad way. Unless you're doing a parody, I'd say limit the use to enhance what you're trying to say. But I can fly!
Go on then, show it!
But overall, I think special effects, when done correctly and done not for the sake of the effects, but done for the sake of furthering what your message is, I think it can be a very, very powerful tool. Do you use your selfie stick for filming ever? These are tools there to help you further the story. And if you can use them in a way that people can't tell that you're using them, that's where I think it becomes more powerful. So with the selfie stick, I do use it and I have used it in the past, but I tend to avoid the whole. Any tips for recording good videos over Skype or Hangouts? No, I've never really done that. When it's just two speakers, do you prefer the side-by-side CNN style view, or is it better to shift focus to the active speaker? I've done both in the past. I do prefer the shifting focus more than the stationary, just two side by side. It adds more dynamic to it. It's a lot easier to do if you have two cameras and you have them over each other's shoulder and you can flip between the two. With one camera or one setup, it does mean it's a lot of extra work. So I've limited that normally to really short clips and, you know, just doing the same scene twice. Right, cool. I hope that answers all the questions. It's getting dark outside, the neighbors are getting more rowdy, and I need to wrap up. But if you've got any more questions, send them my way. I'll gladly help as much as I can. Stay secure, my friends.